Quiet on the set.
Hey, Pharrell.
Hey, how you doing, man? You know, it'd be cool is if we told my story with Lego pieces.
Seriously?
Yes.
Lego.
Just be open.
When I saw this in Telluride, it just blew me away because I'd never seen, first of all, a documentary like it, but a biopic, or whatever you want to call it. It's everything. It's a musical. It's a biopic. It's an animated film. It's a character study. I'm sure many people have come to you, wanted to do a film about you, but why this one?
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this. To be completely frank, I was never interested in doing a documentary on myself. And that's because I pride myself on like my curiosity. That's what motivates me. And I don't know about you, but you know, looking in the mirror, you kind of know everything about yourself. You're not curious, right? you know, spots here and there, whatever. But other than that, you're not like, oh, well, what is my life like? Well, you're like, yeah, I see you every day. You're not wondering what you did yesterday or 2 weeks ago. Not inspired by what you're seeing to make a film. But then there's also the aspect of like listening to yourself. Do you guys like listening to yourself voicemail? Is that fun? So imagine an hour of that. No thanks, right? You know, when my very persistent agent continued to ask, I was just like, there's no chance. Like, I'm just not interested. And then he uttered the words, you can do it whatever way you want. And then all of a sudden it became a situation where it was like, okay, this doesn't have to be a reflective process. This could actually be an exploration and an opportunity to be creative. We discussed Morgan. It's obvious why. He's a masterful storyteller. This guy has not only the ability to allow the footage and the interviews to tell him what the film wants to be, but he also has this really amazing gift of deciphering which angle in which he wants to tell the story and the vantage point. And I was just like, okay, this is somebody that I could trust to give complete autonomy to not only my story, but even autonomy with my music, which was the biggest proof to myself of whether I could be humble enough to not get in the way and make this hubris Frankenstein of a project, because that's what it could have been very easily. Like, oh, when I was 22, I did this. And then when I was 27, this happened. And then that, and who can do this? And wow, and make it go back. I mean, that's what it would have been if I would have been in control. But turning it over to this guy, and then deciding to tell it in Lego so that it could be Lego-fied or objectified, just allowed it to have enough distance so that I could see myself objectively for once, because all my life I've never been interested in my voice, my story, anything. I like telling other people's story, right? Would you ever do a documentary on yourself?
On myself? No.
Oh.
I do make an appearance in this one.
You do.
I dressed as my character today, by the way.
You do and you did. But could you do it if you think about it?
No.
Right? And what about you, Mimi?
No.
So as you, Caitrin?
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
So I'm not alone. This process, and I have to say, when you become Lego-fied, it allows you to appreciate beyond your flaws, your fears, your insecurities, and your guilt and pressures. And you just get to see your soul's purpose. And that has, like, honestly humbled me.
It's just a sample of your creativity, the way you think. You don't want to do anything the normal way as people might expect when you do a documentary. Then you get Morgan Neville, who's done these incredible documentaries, and they say it's going to be animated and it's going to be Lego. And you're diving right into unknown territory as a filmmaker for you.
Yeah, this is 5.5 years ago we started this. And it's not like we kicked it around for years. It's like we've been working on this for 5.5 years. You know, and animation, I had to learn that whole world. We've all learned that whole world. You know, so we essentially made it once as kind of a weird hybrid of stuff we shot and archive footage and drawings and movie clips from other movies and just trying to get the story to work. And we spent a couple of years doing that. I know Aaron Wickenden, one of our editors I see out there, have to give him credit.
Congratulations.
Because he was in the trenches with us forever. And then once we finished that version, we're like, I think it's working. Then we went to our animation partners like Pure Imagination and Tongo, and we went at the beginning and storyboarded the whole film, and then went on that journey for a couple of years. But the thing I'll say about the Lego aspect, not only did that get me excited, even though I didn't know how crazy it was going to be or what that was going to mean, instead of, the kind of the filter Pharrell talks about, that it gives him a distance to see his own story, I actually feel like it allows me to get in his head in a way that I can't normally in a documentary. I can see what he sees in his mind's eye in a way that for me as a storyteller was so incredibly liberating.
I was caught up in the intersection of like delusion, faith, and conviction. And at moments, if you asked me, the answer would have been one of the three, and I couldn't tell you because I was just lost in that. Being so like charged up about the fact that we were doing this in Lego was what fueled me. I think I spent a lot of time with Mimi, my producing partner, like on the phone, just like, can you believe it? Wait till people see it. It's going to be Lego. Yes.
Yes, there was a lot of that. There was definitely a lot of just excitement of like, oh my gosh, like, are we really going to pull this off? But I think, just really quickly, like, I thought it was a crazy idea, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to kill him for coming up with this. But it really wasn't until Morgan and Kate were like, yeah, this is amazing, figure it out, because to P's point, it was such a crazy idea and we couldn't believe it was happening, but the only reason it was happening is because we had these amazing partners that were just in the trenches with us, and like every difficult thing that got thrown our way, we were just like, we figured it out. And of course, Kate and I call Kate our North Star on this project. She really kind of, she's airport traffic control, but it was difficult. It was a difficult project, but to Pete's
Just trying to describe it to anyone was
like
that's probably, I would say, let's be clear about this with them. Let's bring them in the process with us. The hardest part was explaining it.
Yeah, for sure.
That was the hardest part. Other than this, it's been like amazing. And thank you to Brent Palmer as well.
Oh yeah, Brent's here, our co-producer.
Yeah.
But again,
that's the hardest thing.
Lots of hard things, right? These are things that Kate and I protected y'all from, of all the difficulties.
Really? Let's get a list of that.
Yeah.
But what we'll say is that, the joy that we knew that this would bring to the world, and especially a story about a Black boy from Atlantis, from Virginia, it was exciting for us to be able to show this in a different light so that people would be able to relate to these universal themes of just someone who just is a dreamer and wants to fulfill their dreams and figuring it out, even when they're hearing all the no's, not getting discouraged. That is just such a beautiful message to put out in the world, and just something that we were all excited about.
And I think it was so hard, but your enthusiasm was infectious. And every time you had a note or thought, you took the time to call us and explain why you thought something should be a certain way, which is not something we always get from people we work with. So it felt like a true collaboration in all senses of the word. And there was even a sort of the dark before the dawn when we got to the end and we had a release date that we could not back away from. And so we were working really hard to make sure we got it done in time. And I think everyone was starting to feel a little burned out. And I mentioned this to Mimi, and 12 hours later, we get this video from Pharrell thanking everyone for their hard work and encouraging everybody to keep going and expressing his appreciation. And all of that, I think, was super meaningful to everybody working on the project. And it said so much about Pharrell, and just, it was basically sums up the entire experience of working with this man.
Let me ask you about the music, because you've done many music documentaries, Caitrin, and this has all these musical collaborations, and all that entails in getting that in there. 5 original songs. They're all great. Piece by Piece was just released with the Princess Anne marching band.
Yes, sir.
How did you decide to have a marching band in this version of Piece by Piece and putting that?
It's probably the one moment of hubris that I had left in me, because it was like, oh, I am gonna celebrate my marching band, because you know what, my teacher was one of the real true stars of my constellation of like my journey. And he broke me so many times, you know, the stubbornness, and made me understand the importance of discipline. And so I was like, oh, this needs to be an ode to all the kids who like played in marching bands and concert season bands. And wait, there's parents that are leaving with a child.
Uh-oh. You can see that. I can't here.
I just wanted to say before all the children leave, I think that's your daughter, but I just wanted to say, you know, everybody has fears. And everybody has flaws and things that they don't like about themselves. I just want to make sure she hears this.
That's Juniper.
And everybody has insecurities. Oh, you know, I think I'm too big, or my friends think I'm too big, or too short, or too skinny, or too tall. Do not allow fears, flaws, insecurities, pressures, or guilt, or anything to hold you back, because they're just captors. They're going to hold you captive all your life. It took me 51 years to figure that out. You guys are young. Don't take it on. You look at your fears in the face, write it down on a paper, ball it up, and go about your day, and you will feel light. This is an opportunity for you to change your lives today when you leave this place.
That's great.
That's all. I'm sorry.
That's great. But what you just said and what you just hit on is why this movie's magic. One of my favorite lines is you take it apart and you put it together piece by piece. That's what you've done, all of you, with the life of Pharrell Williams. Thank you so much for coming out here to the Academy today.